Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mangs. You don't often see 2 versus 2 matches played in competitive Advanced Wars, but today, that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you guys. Today, I am bringing you guys a live 2v2 match that was absolute chaos, and I had so much fun playing it. It's taken from the live stream that D just hosted last weekend, so I'll throw a link to that. If you want to view the match live, you can. But today I'm going to be going through the match itself because it was a lot of fun, it was pure chaos, and a lot of wacky things happened, including a new, never-before-seen bug that we discovered in real time that actually ended up impacting the match itself. Maybe. It's dubious how much it impacted the match. It may have affected it a little bit. But this is a 2v2, it's a live 2v2, so that meant that we have very, very short timers. 5 minutes initially, 1 minute increments, so your timer runs out incredibly quickly and you have to really think on your feet. The players in this match are myself, and my ally is Deegis. You all know him, you all love him, one of the best players in the world, incredibly strong in live games, insanely aggressive. Our opponents are 2 Grandmasters. First out, we got Days of Plague. He is not only a very strong Advanced Wars player, he's also the #1 ranked Days of Ruin player in the world. So if you head over to Tiny Wars and you check out the Days of Ruin scoreboard, you'll see Days of Plague at #1 there. He is incredibly strong in Days of Ruin, also a very strong Advanced Wars player. And his ally is a true boss, the strongest high funds player in the world. He also has been getting a lot better at live lately, and he also has a YouTube channel where he does Advanced Wars streams. I'll throw a link to it in the video description if you want to go check it out. Very fun guy. I've had him on the channel before. Funny guy. He was like the first guy to beat one of my challenges. So we are playing a 2v2 live game, and you may look at the CO selections and you may be like, what the hell is going on here? Andy, Sammy, Max? What's going on here? Well, I'll show the picks here. So what I love about 2v2s is that you can actually mix and match the tiers. As long as the tiers are balanced on both ends, you can see lower tier COs and higher tier COs as long as the points are equal. And what D just did is he gave each team 3 points, and then he listed a bunch of COs with points. So, for example, we could pick Von Bolt for 3 points, but if we did that, then we would have no points left over, which meant the other player would have to pick either Grim, Sonya, or Cole. D just banned Adder and Jake because he didn't want them to be selected. So I actually suggested that we'd go Nell Grim just for the meme, but D just did not want that. So I was like, okay, we can try hard. So ultimately, we ended up with me picking Max for 2 points, and then D just picking Andy for 1 point. So that's 3 points combined. I also really wanted to pick Kindle. The reason she's tier 1 is because, of course, in a 2v2, Kindle's Urban Blight becomes an absolute menace. But D just didn't want that. He felt like Kindle was a little weak, so we ended up going Max Andy. And our opponents picked Double Sammy. So when I saw this, I was like, oh boy, Double Sammy. This is gonna be one of those games where we have to take into account 3 victory marches. So if you take a look at this map, there are only 2 bases per player, which means that Sami is actually not a fantastic pick. She really doesn't like 2 base maps because Sami wants to max out infantry, but she also needs to build vehicles. She can't just get by with infantry. So ideally, Sami wants 3 or even 4 base maps where she can pump out a lot of infantry to support her vehicles. In 2 base maps, Sami becomes very weak. There are airports on this map, but Sami battlecopters not the best. They're okay, but the reduced firepower makes them a little bit less desirable. But of course, we have to contend with 2 victory marches, which is a problem. Now, again, if we take a look at this map again, it is called Blood to Tears. Now, it's a very wacky map. Both players start out with their bases right next to each other, so both players have to kind of coordinate. It's red and green versus black and a acid. Yeah, I think I tried to match the colors on the side, so like my color blindness wouldn't be make this completely impossible for me to spectate. So yeah, so you got True Boss and Plague right here. They start here, me and we start here, and then you got 4 little bases in each corner. So what ends up happening here is you got a front here, you got a front here, a front here, and a front here. And the middle will attack the corners, pretty much. The corners will be on defense, the center will be on offense. Now, there are labs, and they are actually sort of exposed, but there are also 2 neutral labs in the center here that you can go and capture, which might give you some play against Sami's victory march. There's a comm tower here that the players can get via transports to cities, so transport copters are pretty much a must here. You get these wild show lines right here that allows vehicles to transfer the map or traverse the map pretty quickly. You can front shift on a dime. But this just ended up being an absolutely wild match, and I say we just get into it. I'm viewing it on the site because, again, I'd like to show the timers. I think they're pretty relevant. I also gotta say, love how the I really like how the banners are quicker now, so that's nice. So you got Deegis in the green, True Boss with the acid color, you got Days of Plague as Black Hole, and me as Orange Star. I have modified the colors a little bit to make it easier for me to spectate, so if you go view the match live, you might see that we have different colors. But I figured this was the easiest thing to do. For me, it's important that the soldiers face the right way. I don't know, that's always been like a big deal to me. So, Deegis and I, we very initially planned on going hard up in the northeast. This was our game plan. I don't think like right away, but we decided on it like on day 3, I think. We decided that we were going to just attack Days of Plague up in the top right. Because if we can, obviously, if you can take out one of the players early, Sami is pretty early. I mean, she's not weak in the early game because of her infantry, but she doesn't have many good vehicles to counter like a Max and Andy push combined, so... But we also wanted to keep guard and see where True Boss and Plague would attack us. I suspected that they might want to rush me in the lower left here, because of course, being Max, I cannot build artillery to protect my bases. So I might be a little bit weak to a base rush from double Sami. So like, I don't like, I can build recons and tanks, of course, but they can just build mechs and like march mechs down here, and there's not really a whole lot I can do about that. Artillery is usually a pretty good counter against mechs, but I can't build artillery, so I figured that I would probably be their target. But, so, True Boss marching his infantry down here. Early on, Sami is very vicious in the capture phase because essentially you cannot interrupt her caps, not unless you kill her infantry completely. You need 2 infantry to interrupt her caps instead of the 1. So normally the tactic against Sami is just to kind of let her capture. Just let her capture properties and hope that you win later on with vehicles. You cannot contest her captures, it's very hard to do. Try not to let her infantry strike yours first with their 30% increased firepower. It's usually a very bad idea. So I remember asking Deegis, like, do you want a recon? He was a little bit on the fence about it, but then he came around and was like, yeah, okay, you know what? Let's go for the recon. Like, max recons are pretty strong, 20% extra firepower. So the idea was to use the max recon to apply some early pressure and then follow it up with tanks and see what we could do. So both players just capturing right here. Nothing wacky, but if I recall correctly, yes, as you can see right here, True Boss just bullying me right here, going for this capture. Normally, I'd be able to interrupt it with this infantry, but if I do that now, that infantry is just gonna get killed, so there's no point. Boss already building a mech early on. I think he thought that this recon would go down, but this recon is actually going north. So I am happy with him building that mech. Of course, they are Sami players, so they want to crew a bunch of mechs. And here, I remember Deegis and I, we saw this transport copter being built, and we're like, ooh, okay, he's going transport. That is even a bigger reason to just pummel him in the northeast here. So once we saw that transport copter being built, we were like, okay. And of course, Sami does have an advantage with the transport copters very fast. So she can get onto this island, and then she can get over here to this comm tower in just 2 turns, as opposed to the other COs who have to take 3 turns moving across this little area right here. So Sami's transports are pretty strong. It's not a big part of her toolkit, but it is a nice part of it, like being able to utilize transports just a little bit better. But I'm moving my recon right here. I'm moving it to the north. And as you can see, it's already threatening a lot. Now, I don't think, and this is something that I wanted to check during the game, but I didn't do it. I don't think max recons can interrupt Sami caps. Let me just check right here. So they can bring the Sami infantry down to probably 4 HP. Which is actually not enough. A 4 HP Sami infantry still captures if it captures at 10 health. But they can still do damage to them, and every time you kill one of Sami's infantry, it's a victory, because the less infantry she has once that victory march comes in, the better. So here, Deegis follows it up with a tank. So we're both going to just smash Plague in the northeast right here. That is the game plan. And just play defense everywhere else. I know that I can't really do much down in the corner here. True Boss is just going to bully me. and there's very little I can do about it. So, but Plague has to build a tank. Forcing Sami to build vehicles is always nice. So here I move my recon up, stay outside of range of the tank, don't want it to get stuck. Of course, I could have probably just placed attack the city and had just guard my own tank. But I decided to be a bit, you know, just be a little bit patient. So D just rolls up with this tank right here. It is very hard to coordinate an attack with two players. It is very hard, because keep in mind, we have to make sure that Djus is the one who has to strike first, and then I am the one who strikes second, because Djus is first in the initiative order. So, or I guess you could say, like, on my turn, Djus will move after me, but if you look at the initiative orders of the players, Djus will move first, and then I'll move. So it's very important that we coordinate, we know who moves first and who follows it up, and it's very easy for mistakes to get made right here. So True Boss builds a battlecopter, first battlecopter of the match. We're going to see a lot of battlecopters because they're very good on this map. So here, Days of Plague is also being a bit cheeky here, capping over here. And again, you can see, because of the extra movement on the T-copter, he's able to reach this island right away, which will give him that comm tower. He builds a battlecopter, which is very predictable. We knew this was going to happen. Now here, D just was like, send this tank south and go harass here, because as much as we wanted, like, yes, our initial plan was to go north, but we can't really do much until an anti-air arrives. So we might as well have some fun here, deny True Boss this property right here, and do some damage to his infantry. And I also build a anti-air to counter this battlecopter down here, and I think D just will also build a battlecopter of his own right here. So here, I decide to go in, just to attack. This recon will, of course, get hit, but because Sami has low firepower, it's probably not going to die, which means we can pull it back and heal it. So Djus and I, we're kind of going on two fronts right now. We are attacking up here in the north, but we are also harassing Boss down in the south here. So we're not, like, focusing everything we have in this corner, although maybe we should, but it was too tempting to pick up these Frey infantry right here in the south. Letting True Boss just capture these two properties could have been bad, so we did have to divert some of our units away. Day 8 rolls in, and Days of Plague comes in with a counterattack right here. He gets his comm tower, moves in his battlecopter, and he also interrupts my capture here, which was a little unexpected. And he builds a lot of mechs. I pull back my recon, and as you can see right here, I will not reach this island because I'm not Sami. But I shift my tanks away, put my anti-air right here. There's not really a lot True Boss can do, so once again, I'm just preventing him from getting this property, and I'm harassing him over here. He's still gonna get the property because he's Sami. But, and again, like, the more damage you can deal to Sami, the better. Like, the more infantry you can kill in the early game, the better. Djus is now going to go and grab a lot of properties, and Djus' income is going to be very strong this chapter. He's already ahead quite a bit with 14k. He's going to be very, very strong in the income department. He gets a very nice hit here with his tanks. Does place himself in range of a mech, but he follows it up with an anti-air and another tank. So the aggression is on, and we were feeling very good about this opener right here. So True Boss is now coming in. He's moving his battlecopter here, and when we saw this, I was like, what is he doing? And then I realized, oh, he's probably going to try and deny me the comm tower, but that's fine, because I can just build a battlecopter from this airport anyway, so it shouldn't really matter that much. Now here, he is kind of offering his transport up to me, but of course, I will lose the anti-air if I do that, so it's definitely not worth it. And here, I was very surprised to see... Yeah, he takes out Plague takes out the tank here, and then he surrounds the tank. Now, Djus can definitely get this tank back if he's willing to sack the anti-air, but I remember looking at this and being a little bit like, oh, okay, that's not great. Plague also goes for an artillery here. I pull back my recon, and I start attacking the pipes. In this infantry, we were going to do something with it, but then Djus was like, nah, just send it down and capture the lab. It's fine. And here, I use my tank to block True Boss's infantry, so he can't come back here. And I start to send my units over here to threaten the comm tower, and kind of just force them to split their units apart here. So it is Djus' turn, and look at his income. He has 19k income, which means he can start producing tanks, medium tanks, and he can even save up for a Neo tank. If Andy gets a Neo tank out in the early game, it's pretty much GG, because that thing will never die. He can just keep it around. So here, D just takes out the T-copter. And he moves his tank back. So he's going to save that for a rainy day once Hyper Upgrade comes in. And here, D just insisted I keep my anti-air here. Just to kind of prevent... We want to prevent True Boss. He's going to get this property sooner or later. But we decided that we were going to try and prevent him from getting it as much as possible. Another Battlecopter coming out of a True Boss right here. And now True Boss is shifting a lot of his forces south to try and protect his own com tower. I know I'm not going to be able to get these, and I'm definitely not going to be able to hold on to this property. I just wanted to delay his income for a little bit, you know? Every property that I take away from him is a little bit less money that he has to play with, so I figured, you know, why not? So True Boss and Plague are kind of splitting up their forces. Plague is going north, True Boss is going south. But I'm okay with that, and so was Gigi's. Now, of course, he will lose this anti-air, we knew that, but he wanted to get the tank back, so. And he has another anti-air coming, so it shouldn't really be no problem. Plague goes artillery, which is a little ballsy against Max and Andy. We were a little bit surprised to see this, but I don't think he really had the money to build anything else, so. So I go for the com tower. I bring my Battlecopter over here. My Battlecopter is going to zone out Sammy's Battlecopter because of my power, so that's not really going to be a problem. And D just really wanted me to attack this mech. I thought it was a bit reckless, but he really insisted on doing this. So I was like, okay, that's fine with me. Like, this was Deejus's idea. Like, I remember he just like, attack with the recon. He's like, attack right here. Attack the mech in the mountain. I was like, really? You want me to throw away? I disagree with this. I thought this was a very weird attack. Like, I'd much rather repair this recon up and have it take part in other fights. But Deejus was like, no, sack it. So I was like, okay, I listened to Deejus. I didn't like the attack at all, but Deejus seemed to think it was a good attack, so I listened to Deejus. He's a much better player than me, after all. So day 11 rolls in, and now Deejus is going to roll in with some tanks and get some very good hits right here, as you can see, and even gets the mech. This artillery is not going to do anything. Comes in with the anti-air, so now we are really laying the pressure on. Deejus' Battlecopter prevents True Boss from taking this property, and gets some pre-shots at the infantry as well. Brings in a very nice recon as well. This will force True Boss to divert his tank over here to deal with it. And now Deejus is really going ham. Look at that 20k income, and he's got 6k in the bank, which means he can build a Neo tank next turn, which is so good. So let's see what True Boss decides to do. He's going to take back some of the buildings that I captured. He's also going to protect his com tower. Now, if you look at their timers, you can see that Deejus and I are doing very well on time. Deejus has 5 minutes. True Boss has 1 minute. Plague has 2 minutes. I have 3. So Deejus has a lot of time, and that's good. Banking up time in live games is essential, as I say it a lot. Time is a resource on par with income and unit count. The more time you bank up, the better you're going to be. So here comes Plague's counterattack. He takes out a tank. That's smart. That tank would have repaired hadn't he killed it, so it's very important that he does focus the weakened units. So Deejus is not going to be able to hold on to this building, but this Battlecopter is still being very annoying. Day 11 rolls in, and this is where I do something kind of funny. So here I start capturing the lab, and I go for a bunch of attacks here. Anti-air comes in, and I have my max force available right now. And if I remember correctly, no, I do not pop it. Okay. No, never mind. It's next turn where I'm going to try and get the max blast. So I just do a lot of damage to True Boss right here. I kind of think it would have been better for Deejus and I to just focus fire Plague. Like, I think we're splitting up, but at the same time, there's so many good engagements to take here. It's kind of hard not to take him. But I'm wondering if maybe I should have, like, sent one more tank up to Deejus, because if we had one extra tank in this area, we really could have wrecked Plague, and we could have taken over his base. So I'm wondering if maybe that would have been the play. But at the time, it seemed to be the right thing to do. And we're still kind of winning. We're just not winning as quickly as we would have liked. So, Deejus builds the Neo Tank. And this Neo Tank will never die. There is really nothing that True Boss or Plague can do against it. They can build a bomber, but Sami bombers are not capable of one-shotting Neo Tanks. So True Boss is going to retaliate here. It's going to take out one of my tanks, do some damage to the anti-air. And yeah, I guess if this mech was on full health, it would have dealt a lot more damage. So maybe Deejus was right in using the recon against it. True Boss really wants to try and get this property right here. He does a join cap and even brings some of his tanks down here. So kind of dangerous to do an infantry battle against Sami. And here, Plague activates double time, a desperation double time, but it does allow him to get some good hits in. It allows this mech to strike this tank. He doesn't kill it with luck, which is very, very lucky for us. That means Deegis can repair it with hyper upgrade next turn. So a bit of a weird double time. I mean, he does get some good engagements, builds a medium tank, which is important. It allows him some positioning. We were very happy to see this double time, we were. So here, I decide to go ham with my units. I start taking out a bunch of True Boss's vehicles. I attack the battlecopter. And here, I go for a bunch of infantry engagements to get my max blast, because my battlecopter is 2 spaces away from True Boss's battlecopter, this right here. And if I can, I know that if I can take out this battlecopter, it's going to be very good. So I go for a bunch of engagements. I even attack his mech. And I activate the max blasts to take out this battlecopter. Now, this is maybe a bit of a reach. I probably should have saved the max blasts, but I really wanted to kill this battlecopter because look right now, True Boss has no anti-air, nothing. So this battlecopter is completely uncontested right now. So was it a bit of a wasted max blast, popping max blast to take out a single battlecopter? It may seem that way, but I think it was probably the right thing to do. I mean, it certainly shut True Boss down hard in the south, but it would have been smarter to wait a little bit and get some more value out of it. Deegis pops hyper upgrade. Let's take a look at his values. So he has 71k. He gets about 7k value out of the hyper upgrade. I think maybe it was a little premature, but we didn't have a lot of time, and Deegis really wanted to take out this infantry and take out the artillery. So what we really would have needed here, and this, because the problem is right now Deegis going to lose his anti-air, which means we have no answer to the battlecopter. So might have been, like, I think Deegis and I should have held on to our powers a little bit more. I think we both popped them rather prematurely. Now, of course, the extra movement does allow Deegis to get some caps in. Honestly, he probably should have gone for a T-copter to get this island, but oh well. So here, True Boss decides to go for his counterattack. And he deals quite a lot of damage to me, actually. Takes out quite a few infantry. You can see timers are starting to be really low right now. True Boss, Plague, and me are all on increment. Deegis has 4 minutes. He's really fast. Deegis takes some damage on his battlecopter, which is, yeah, this... Looking at this turn right now, I feel like Deegis and I didn't really get much out of our powers at all, which is a bit of a shame. We do have 2 labs, which is nice, but we're probably going to lose those. And Deegis losing his anti-air was very unfortunate. He doesn't have an anti-air to bring it in, so that's kind of bad. But I do have a battlecopter right now, which is completely uncontested, and right now I am crushing True Boss in the south. Like, he has nothing here now. And I build a medium tank because I recognize that True Boss is probably getting in a victory march very soon, and I want to put a medium tank on top of the lab. So far, even though it was we had very lackluster powers, I think Deegis and I are still in a very good spot. And Deegis was also able to keep his anti-air alive, which means he has the potential to repair it. And he gets a very nice shot on the medium tank with his Neo tank. So Plague is kind of collapsing right now. And Deegis is closing in on the lab as well. Keep in mind, if he takes the lab, he takes all of Plague's property. So that's an instant win condition. Now, of course, Plague can still resign, but that's still GG if it turns into a 2 versus 1. So day 14 rolls in, and True Boss rolls in with a lot of his units right now, and I am starting to sweat. Now, I actually missed it. I'm going to go back, but I did something last turn that was a huge mistake. So this copter right here, I decided to move it this way, because I felt like, okay, Boss doesn't have any anti-air, so this battlecopter can go home, but I really needed this battlecopter here to deal with this attack. This was a game-losing move. This battlecopter needed to be here, and you'll see soon what I mean by that. Day 14 rolls in, Deegis gets a lot of good attacks, like, Plague is crumbling, and Deegis is doing a very good job in this area as well. But day 14 rolls in, and now True Boss moves in. He builds a rocket to get rid of the infantry on the island. And now he is threatening my lab. And he has 3 infantry, a 1 HP 4 and 8 HP infantry right here. And my battlecopter is out of position. And this is a very, very bad thing. Days of Plague has 2 battlecopters, which is very nice. He's doing a good job just stalling Deegis. He's now dealing with this lab too, which he will get very soon. And here, this is when it dawns on us that we are going to lose, or that I'm going to lose my lab, because I have a medium tank. If this battlecopter was just if this battlecopter was here, I could have killed this tank with this battlecopter, placed my medium tank on the lab, and True Boss would have had absolutely no way of taking it. But I know that I've lost, because there's no way I can kill these 3 infantry. Like, I can send this infantry to kill this. I can kill the other infantry with my battlecopter, but then he's going to have an HHB infantry left to take my lab. So I decide to do the only thing I can in this situation. I do as much damage as I can with my remaining units. And then I simply resign. And the reason I resign is, you know, I don't want to give True Boss all of my properties. If he takes my lab, he gets all my properties immediately, and it's a GG. But I'm like, okay, Deegis, you have 21k income and a pretty big unit count. You might actually be able to 2v1 them. So we decide to do just that. We decide to do just that. So Deegis goes hard for it here. And here, something very, very weird happens, or on next turn. So here, True Boss activates his Victory March. He takes over the lab for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but he does. I mean, I was the only unit. I guess it was the only property he could have captured. And Days of Plague has 3 battlecopters that are being very annoying right here, and Deegis' anti are out of position. Here's something very weird happens. Deegis goes to take the base. He goes to take the base, but he can't capture it. He tries. There's no option to capture it. Turns out there's a bug on Advanced Wars by Web. If a player resigns that you used to be teammates with, it takes a full turn, or it takes several turns, or you need to refresh the page before you're able to capture the lab, or capture his base. Because the game still thinks that your teammate is in the game and that the base belongs to him. So Deegis could not capture the base, and he forgot to refresh. Now, after he refreshed once, he was able to capture it again. But this lost him out on an entire turn of not getting this base. So he's now going to get this base in 3 turns instead of 2. Pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal. But Deegis is now going to try his best. Problem is, he's in 2 minutes. And on one minute increment. And True Boss is slowly taking over my properties. It's going to take him a little while to get them all. And he's not going to get these island properties because he doesn't have a transport copter in nearby. But he can take over the airport and get it eventually. But it will take him time. So I remember Deegis was so stressed right here. Now Deegis is locking down this entire section of battlecopters, which is very good. Sadly, though, Plague was able to get this lab right as Deegis gets his lab. Otherwise, Deegis would have gotten all these properties and it would have turned into a 1v1. But because Plague was able to take this lab right here, he just got the lab before Deegis was able to capture it. So, not great. Deegis pops hyper upgrade right here, but at this point, it is not looking good because he's up against 2 players and he was getting increasingly more fatigued and stressed. So I tried cheering him on as best as I could. I mean, he does have 28k income right now. The problem is Days of Plague is about to get his Victory March. Now, Deegis is also locking down a huge portion of his armor right here, which is good. And Deegis is playing really well here, especially considering he's on increment. Like, my hats off to him, he played really well. Sadly, though, he's up against 2 Sammys. Their unit count is superior. They have twice as much time to think out their moves compared to him. And Days of Plague is also going to set up a very strong Victory March next turn. Look at all these infantry going up right here. Deegis is trying his best to kill as many tanks and as many infantry as he can, but there isn't really a whole lot he can do against Plague's incoming Victory March. It's going to be bad. So True Boss actually goes for a double time here because he sees a lot of good engagements. And when I saw this, I was like, yeah, this is crumbling pretty fast. When True Boss is feeling confident enough to pop his Victory March, or pop his double time, you know the game is bad. And look at this turn from Plague right now. He has 6k income, which is not a lot. But He easily, and he's not able to take out the tank right away, which is kind of funny, but he gets 1 property, 2 properties, 3 properties, 4 properties, which brings Deegis down to 25k. Now, on the cartridge, when you play 2v2 games, and you do, because we're on day 20 right now, and the game will end on turn 25. Now, on the cartridge, it only counts the player with the highest amount of properties in team games. So, if this was played on the cartridge, Deegis, with his 25k income, would have actually won on day 25, even though his opponents combined have more properties than him. On Advanced Wars by Web, however, it does count the properties of both team players, which I think is the right way to do it. But at the time, we weren't completely sure whether or not Advanced Wars by Web followed the cartridge or not. So I urge Deegis to keep playing here, because if he can somehow survive for 5 more days, as long as he can keep his income higher than a true boss, he actually has a chance to win this. But then someone in chat informed us that no, Advanced Wars by Web actually does count the properties of both team players together, so that means that combined right now they have 32k, while the rest Deegis has 27k. And it's not like Deegis is going to take that many properties either. He's up against Sami, so there's not really a whole lot Deegis can do here to turn the tides, and he was getting more and more tired. He was playing on increment. Now, is there a way for Deegis to win this game? Looking at it, he's got 4 more days to play, and he's got to get, what? He's going to get like 3 or 4 properties in 4 days against Sami. Yeah, that's not going to work, considering True Boss is probably going to get these 2 properties as well now. Now, True Boss was actually not going for that many properties. He could have built a T-Copter, but he chose not to. So, looking at this, I am wondering if Deegis could have pulled a victory out, but it was too much for him, and he resigns. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why it says 3 Samis right here. That's kind of funny. Is it because I'm dead? That's interesting. It says that Deegis... 2 Andys and 1... That's really weird. Why does it say that? That's incredibly wonky. I have no idea why. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's the 2v2. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a very chaotic match, a lot of fun to play, and it looked really good for us. If I hadn't messed up that 1 battlecopter positioning, I think we would have won this. And I do wonder if Deegis had a chance to win this 2v1. Maybe not with 1 minute increment, but if you have more time, I think maybe he could have pulled it off. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Check out the live game at Deegis' channel. Check out True Boss's YouTube channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.